Good evening, students. This is Sreenivasa Rao Nakka. So today we are here to discuss about to review the law paper which has been held today. CA Inter law paper ma. So just now we received the paper. So you know very well question number as per my opinion before going to the review to this question paper ma. As per my opinion this is a challenging question paper actually. So anyhow, but there is a chance to get minimum 50 marks in this question paper also. Question number 1A, let us go through once more. Question number 1A. MNO Limited has the following equity share capital. You know very well, part A is for 30 marks, part B is for 70 marks. So part A question paper is not available for us. Anyhow, it is not available. So we are going to discuss only part B for 70 marks. So question number 1A, MNO Limited has the following equity share capital. So class 1, class 2. This question is related to variation of shareholders' rights, section number 48. In share capital and debentures chapter, this is from variation of shareholders' rights. One class of shareholders' rights, if you want to vary, what is the procedure you have to follow? From that, they are asking 5 marks question actually. So whether it is possible to vary or not, and actually this is a practical question. You have to verify 3/4 consent whether it has been took or not. So maybe a little bit moderate question. You have to be calculations. You have to be very careful. Calculations you have to be very careful about these. Problem question number 1A. Okay. So next we will go to question number 1B. So is nothing but actually from the maintenance of the books of accounts actually. So that is actually topic number 1 in accounts of the company chapter. In that accounts of the company chapter, this is actually topic number 1, section number 129, books of accounts. So from books of accounts of branches actually, where you have to maintain the books of accounts of branches, not only branches in India, branches outside India, and how frequently the summary of the books of accounts maintained at branch should be sent to the head office, corporate office, registered office address. That is what the question here. So it is also moderate question, so you can answer actually. And question number 1C is for 4 marks. This is actually from FEMA Act. So person resident in India, person resident outside India. So based on that, they are asking this question. So based upon the discussion in FEMA Act, maybe the students can answer this question also. 183 days you should know. Beyond 182 days now, that you have to remember, then only you can answer. And moreover, the purpose of living India, that also you have to be remember to answer this question actually. Question number 1C, 4 marks. So total you know very well about the revised pattern of the exam. Revised pattern of the exam 4 marks, 5 marks, 5 marks, 4 marks. Question number 1 also for 14 marks. There are only 6 questions. Out of that you have to write 5 questions. Each question carries 14 marks, including question number 1. Question number 1 also for 14 marks. They followed the same paper pattern which has been provided in the MTP. But weightage actually little bit differs. The weightage whatever provided by the institute and MTP is not followed in the final examination. So little bit varied actually. General Class Act only 4 marks we got. But we don't know what is the scenario based MCQs 30 marks. Then only we can come to a conclusion whether weightage has been followed or not. So including MCQs, we have to calculate the total weightage, means total marks from each and every chapter. If you observe now this chapter, this question paper, there is no single question from the classification of companies and incorporation of a company chapter also. And registration of charges also, I think there is no descriptive type of question. Registration of charges, debentures also there is no descriptive type of question. So whatever the areas which are highlighted in the MTPs and all, those areas are actually not asked in this exam. Okay. So that is what they are saying. So okay. That is what our observation. Next one is question number 2. Question number 2. Question number 2A. This is actually from private placement, section number 42. So direct question. So you can answer any student can answer. It's a very easy question. You can answer for 3 marks. They are asking how many number of members can be invited. Okay. And non-allotment of shares. So within how many days you have to allot the securities, and what is the consequence of allotment of securities, not allotment of securities within the prescribed time. That is what they are asking. And whether the company can use the application money or not. Very recently there is one case law on this particular concept. That's why they included this particular utilization of application money. That is added actually. And 2B 3 marks actually. So this is related to Companies Act. Actually voting, management administration chapter. In that chapter voting actually, voting's power of joint shareholders. So who has a right to vote in case of joint shareholders actually. So when very small point, on that point they asked for 3 marks. So normally students are ignoring these points. From this point, he asked for 3 marks. So, which student actually they remember that particular provision, they only can write this particular point. It's a small point in the Bayer Act, and even our material also it is a small point. So, one question is there. Question number 10 is there in the general meetings, means essentials of general meeting chapter. So, one question number 10 is there. So, only 2 to 3 lines only. That from that they ask for 3 marks. That you have to observe and you have to write. And Wakara Limited, this is actually from acceptance of deposits chapter. So, from public. So, students has to remember what is the limits for acceptance of deposits from public. Either R under net worth under turnover or net worth R turnover. That is what very important to write this question. So, the students who are clearly, means specifically they are observing whether it is under or net worth, of course 100 crores and turnover 500 crores, but it is under or if students remember that point, then only he can write this answer. That is also for 2 marks like MCQ. This is from acceptance of deposit chapter, and a simple question, if students can remember the provision. So, Board of Directors of Cool Private Limited through a resolution placed in the board meeting granted authorization to Mr. Sharath, CEO of the company. Okay, this is actually from the General Class Act, a very small point actually, only one single point. Power to appoint includes power to remove, power to dismiss. One small point they asked the practical question, 2 marks practical question. So, the students who remembered and who discussed, who refer this particular small point in the General Class Act, they only can write this question, 2 marks only 2 marks they are asking. Okay, and next one they are asking for another 2 marks, that is also from General Class Act only. This is what calculation of date, calculation of days. So, from 2. Okay, this is also a very small concept, but this question has been asked in association, means linked to Negotiation Instrument Act, but students Negotiation Instrument Act is not there in your CA inter syllabus, and neither it is not covered in their foundation old scheme. So, all of the students, means whatever the students who are writing this exam, actually they don't have a knowledge of Negotiation Instrument Act, but they ask Negotiation Instrument Act what is a stale check. Actually this is a provision related to stale check. So, 3 months validity will be there, that is from the data to the data. If it is from, which has to be added, if it is to, which is not to be added, that is what you have to be very careful. So, not only knowledge of General Class Act, you should have a knowledge of Negotiation Instrument Act also, then only you can write these 2 marks. So, it is a very difficult one, it's not covered in your syllabus actually. And a bonus share is a distribution. So, directly they are asking a bonus shares, how to issue bonus shares, direct theory question. There is a theory question actually for 5 marks from share capital chapter. So, easily students can write, but your presentation skills are tested here. Okay, your memory power means whether you remember the provisions or not, and whether you can restate the provisions or not for 5 marks. That is what they are going to test here in this question. And next question for 5 marks, in 5 marks actually general meeting chapter. So, they are asking about quorum actually. Okay, so what is the quorum to be present for the public company if the members are exceeding 1000 to so, on slab is there now. According to that slab, they are asking 15 members and the representatives whether to be counted for the purpose of quorum or not. That also you have to remember. Then only you can answer. Not only quorum, so who are to be counted, who are not to be counted. All these things you should know. Then only you can answer this question. And the adjournment of the meeting by the chairman is valid or not. So, that is also they are asking. So, they cover multiple topics actually. And what are the difference between interpretation and construction of the so legal context, and how to these concepts relate to each other as interpretation of statutes. So, this is from interpretation of statutes. So, difference between interpretation and construction. So, one question is there in your additional concepts. So, self-study concepts is there on question number 20. From that, they ask a direct question, 4 marks. So, if the students who are reading that question also, they can easily answer this question. And question number 4a, Long Boots Limited, a listed company is engaged in the manufacturing of, this is also declaration payment of dividend chapter, but there is a gap of 8 years during which profits for inadequate distribute the same. So, previous 8 years, they are not declaring any dividend. So, you have to calculate declaration of dividend out of reserves actually. Okay, so that accumulated profits. So, they want to declare the dividend from the accumulated profits during the past 8 years for 170 lakhs. So, the conditions are required. So, declaration of a dividend payment out of accumulated profits, previous year profits, conditions you have to calculate and you have to come to a conclusion whether it is correct or not. Okay, from declaration payment of dividend chapter, direct question. A dispute among the partners of LLP Act. So, this is about reduction of number of partners, section number 6. And not only reduction of number of partners, and winding up of tribunal, compulsory winding up by the tribunal is also there. So, both the sections you have to quote for 5 marks actually, and explain the term generally as special bus non-derogant. This is from interpretation of statutes, but here the difficulty is the students they cannot remember this quote actually, which is in Latin language, and they don't know, they know the content, but they don't know what is this related to which question actually. So, that's why it is difficult. That's why it is difficult. This question is difficult. So, normally they cannot answer. And Stalwart Limited listed company having a paid up share capital of 11 crores with a turnover of 100 crores. This is actually audit of the company chapter. So, that is also not that much easy question. They are asking board of directors whether they have power to appoint the auditor in case of casual vacancy, all these things. And explain the protection available for the whistleblowers. So LLP Act is a direct theory question. Whistleblowers concept is there. So fraud, actually after fraud whistleblowers transaction number 29 is there. 30 is fraud, 29 is whistleblowing. So direct question, actually in our material also one question is there, whistleblowing concept. So any student can write this question. Describe the consequences of making a false statement in any written statement or other document under section 37 of the LLP Act. So if you are providing any false information to ROC, then what is the consequence? One separate question is there in our material. From that they are asking 2 marks, 5 marks. And state the provisions of General Class Act, gender and number. Straight question, this is already, this question is there in our material. Straight question, 4 marks. But you have to, your explanatory skills has been tested here. And question number 6A is related to again General Class Act. That is also again related to quorum only. Okay. So related to quorum. So quorum urgent due to the means urgent meeting, what is a quorum, and urgent because of what reason the meeting is urgent, and in case of EGM requested by the members, what will happen if quorum is not present. Like that they covered all these things for 5 marks. Question number 6A from management administration chapter, general meeting chapter. Income tax authority statutory body, this is nothing but revision of financial statements. Okay. So that is what reopening of financial statements. So from accounts of the company chapter, 5 marks. This question is already covered here in the material. And next one is audit report, who has to sign in case of proprietary consent, all these things, and explain the provisions of expert consent. This is from audit, and this is from actually the prospectus and allotment of security chapter, expect 2 marks only. And this is actually from FEMA Act. So current account transactions limits are there. So that limits you have to understand, and from whom you have to take the permission for this, all these things you have to write here for 4 marks. So overall, as far as descriptive is concerned, as per my opinion, the paper is moderately difficult, so challenging paper only, definitely. So small point actually they are asking for 5 marks or 4 marks or like that they are asking, and whatever the topics covered in MTP series 1, series 2, from those topics majority of the questions are not covered here. Means actually and the style of asking questions in MTP is also different, and in your final exam also that is different actually. So these are all observations, and weightage also actually, but including descriptive only, including MCQ only, we can come to a conclusion whether weightage is they are following or not. But as far as descriptive is concerned, the General Class Act, they only asked for 4 marks only. They asked only for 4 marks only from General Class Act. That is what maybe that is one of the issue. And maybe from interpretation of statutes, they asked for 8 marks, but including MCQs, we don't know how many marks, what is the weightage. So normally General Class Act weightage is more than the interpretation of statutes as per the institute weightage table. But in descriptive only General Class Act they asked for 4 marks only. IPS they asked for interpretation of statute, they asked for 8 marks. And FEMA Act they asked only for 8 marks. And no doubt I think FEMA Act there is a scenario based MCQ. If I am not wrong, maybe Companies Act or Companies Act, FEMA Act, LLP Act may be covered in the scenario based MCQs also, and General Class Act also may be covered in the scenario based MCQ. By that the weightage table will be okay. And company law also division 1, division 2, division 3 is there, but the chapter wise weightage there is nothing is provided in the institute. See, incorporation of a company, MOA, AOA, alteration of MOA, AOA, all these things, no question has been asked from incorporation of a company chapter. Prospectus chapter also they asked only private placement concept section number 42 and expert consent in the prospectus. Misleading prospectus, so contents of the prospectus, so types of prospectus, nothing has been asked. Criminal liability, civil liability, nothing is asked in the prospectus chapter also. And the dematerialization of securities, that is a trending topic. From that also they didn't ask, no, nothing has been asked. Small points they are asking big questions. And variation of shareholders, I think no student will expect that they will ask variation of shareholders rights. That is a very less important topic. Normally will not give that much preference for the variation of shareholders rights. From that they are asking question number 1A directly. So maybe it is a challenging if they are leaving any topics as a choice. All questions has been covered in your masterminds material, no doubt on it. But anyhow, students has to read each and every point, including footnotes and additional concepts for self study and your self practice, everything. Then you can write, you can get 50 to 60 marks from this paper. Or otherwise, if you are leaving any small points also, you are not giving preference to the small points also, and you cannot remember those points, maybe you will get 40 to 50 marks. And some cases maybe it is not possible to get that much marks also in the law exam. So be all the best for your next exam. Thank you. I am signing off.